Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you for listening to the Backlog Busting Project. My name is Wes. With me, as always, is Randy. And for the second episode in a row, we have Sean Garmer here, guesting with us of the WTM Network podcasts, including Wrestling to the Max, Football to the Max, Video Games to the Max, and I think that's it. I did this last episode, too. I'm also on the Wrestling on Raft one. The other ones are the people.
Come on, Wes, and get all 90 of his podcasts in. Right?
and of course, you can also find this show called the Backlog Busting Project on there. I don't know if it's any good or not. I mean, it doesn't have To the Max in the name, so
Put it down your own self there.
That's what Wes does best.
Yeah, that's pretty much been my MO for about 20 years. So, you know, old habits die hard. I've been trying to do less of that, but enough armchair psychology. So, unless we have any pre-game stuff to get out of the way, pre-game, let's say we just move straight on to Player A.
Let's do it.
All right. First up, MLB The Show 2016, or MLB The Show 16, releasing for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3. Oh, they dropped Vita support. Releasing today, March 29th, 2016. Published and developed, of course, by SCEA San Diego Studios, which used to be 989, didn't it? I want to say they used to be 989 Studios.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm sorry. I just remember 989 simply because of the startup sound from their games, like at Siphon Filter and their sports games. 989 Studios. Pure nostalgia for me, right there.
NFL Game Day.
Yep.
And nobody should be shocked they dropped Vita support.
Yeah, true.
Saddened by it. Not for the baseball game, really, but the Vita is a good system, people.
Well, actually, for somebody like you who likes to do the baseball simulations, like day-by-day season stuff, Vita support would have been amazing, because remember last year, one of the main features of 15 was, being able to take the same save with you on the road.
No, absolutely. And that works. It's just a game simulation like that, I was always afraid of it playing completely different on the Vita, so I never attempted it.
Okay, I suppose.
I don't think the gameplay itself would really work well with the Vita, because there's so many buttons. I mean, it's a simulation-based game to the max. Pardon the pun there, but
I won't. That was terrible. Get off my podcast.
All right, fine.
Sean, you're my new co-host. Let's do this.
Another podcast for Sean.
Holy Jesus! No.
So there's so
I don't know how you guys do it. Like, seriously, playing one game, and of course I wouldn't pick a 40-hour game all the time, but having to spend every waking moment that I had to play that game was it's crazy. I don't know how y'all do it for two.
Angry girlfriend here, so that's how I do it. I piss her off all the time.
And I'm single, so I don't have to piss people off. But then again, I'm also insane, and I can't remember the last time I didn't have an RPG.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to baseball. Speaking of games that are going to take a long time to do. Yeah, I do like to do the year-long things. I love the fact that the show is the first sports game that allows you to take your save from the previous game and continue it on in the next game. They did it for the first time with 15, and I used it. So I continued my franchise on to the second year and finished it. I'm kind of thinking about resetting everything and maybe making a stream out of it in some capacity, or a YouTube thing or something. So I might just completely restart. But I love the fact that, cause that's always been my complaint. It's like, why do I want to keep buying the game over and over, which for the baseball game I do every year. That's my Madden. I'll buy Madden like every 2-3 years, but baseball it's every year. But it's like, why do I want to do a season or a franchise thing that's many, many years when I'm going to buy the new game next year and have to start all over. So It's my favorite. Right. Obviously, I mean, from the start, I'm sure I'm not hiding it. This is one of the games I'm looking forward to every year, so it's easily a play for me.
Yeah. I guess I will add that one of the things they're adding this year is, I forgot the exact name of it. I think it's called Conquest Mode. And it's like this crazy ass, like, Risk game almost, where you, like, take over territories from other teams by playing, like, 3-inning games, and it looks absolutely insane. You know? I mean, this is on top of some of the other stuff they've like, refined in, like, the Diamond Dynasty mode, because ever since Ultimate Team, EA's Ultimate Team thing took off, now, you know, everybody else has to try to do it, yeah.
I do like that with this, that you get cards and stuff with everything. You don't just have to play Diamond Dynasty to earn the points for it, which helped me. But wasn't it you that told me, like, they had a stream going with all of the extra features in this game, and it was like 2 hours long. So I mean, they add stuff to it all the time. I haven't really paid that much attention to it, just for the fact that I'm getting it anyways.
Yeah.
So I'll learn when I get it. But they had added a game either last year or the year before that has always been really fun. I like how they do the home run derbies online, because everyone is just swinging at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a game that just came out, I believe, on Steam, that I watched a Twitch player play that takes that same format but with mini golf. And Wes, you and I need to play that game. I think it's Golf with Your Friends. Or
Golf
something.
with Friends, yeah, I've seen it.
We need to play that. But
we need
Sean,
to do a lot of things on stream.
You know, I'm not a big baseball fan, so
get off my
There's gonna be nobody left by about minute 10 of this podcast.
You know, I'm sorry, Randy, for you know, I'm not hating on baseball.
No, and listen, as a co-host with you on the Football to the Max podcast, I know that I'm the only one that was a baseball guy, because anytime we got, like, to the baseball playoffs, the baseball preview, it was, okay, so we're bringing this guy, and this guy on, and they're all going to talk with you, and Gary and I are going to be over here.
Yeah,
we're gonna go get a beer, or use the bathroom. See you guys in 30 minutes.
That's how it was when I brought up soccer stuff. So
yeah,
we all
Gary and I sat over there.
It was cool having y'all on with the when we got to do all the FIFA scandal stuff. That was good though. But either way, wrong podcast. You know, I respect the show for being as great as it is. As a person that always used to buy the FIFA games every year, I totally get what Randy's saying. They went too crazy on the Ultimate Team stuff, so I just said, you know what, I'm not buying that stuff anymore. It started becoming to where, like, the whole game is, the meat of the game is in the Ultimate Team, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to card collect in my sports game. I'm good without that. But either way, you know, it is what it is. It's a great game. It's always going to be great. They always try to keep improving it every year. I'm going to say nay for myself, but if you love baseball, I don't see why you're not playing this game.
Yeah, and to Sean's point, if anybody's on the fence about this, if you are a baseball fan, I understand, like, the card games have taken over all the sports games. Like, I bought the new basketball game, the card game is all over that, and it's pushing you to play it all the time. And yes, you are going to collect like, every time I loaded up the show 15, I was getting a new card just for signing in that day, or points for a pack, or this and that. So they shove it down your throat. But what I love about the show is really, no matter how you want to digest your baseball experience, the show really has it for you. Like I said, you can play the franchise or just season modes where you can take over a team. You have the road to the show where you take over one player. My favorite player ever was Wes's when he created Fatty Ham and did the auto draft, and what was it? The Rays drafted you, and you ended up on the Biscuits.
Yep.
So Fatty Ham ended up on the Biscuits. That was wonderful. But I mean, you have all that. Like Wes said, they have new mini games all the time, or the card game. So it's such diverse for just one sports game.
I also remember finding out that you can also have the last name of Eggs, and it was like EAGS, but it was pronounced Eggs. So I told you to create somebody with that name just so we could have green eggs and ham on a biscuit, or on the biscuits. and your girlfriend at the time walked in right as I said that, shot me a look that would have killed most people dead, and then walked away without saying a word.
You have that effect on many people, Wes.
Yes, I do. Oh, I made myself sad.
I said it. Give me credit, goddammit. All right.
Well, I
just want credit.
We've definitely stuck on this game a bit longer than needed. Like most baseball games, this has run on a little long.
Yeah, we're only at 10 and a half minutes in. We've only done one player name. Oh, this is gonna be a fun episode. Anyway, next game up, it's probably going to be a lot quicker. Hypersensitive Bob, releasing on Steam March 29th today. Published and developed by KHII Limited, SIEIDI. I don't know if that's supposed to be one word or spelled out or what. I also don't care because this game looks really freaking stupid. It looks like it's like a side-scroll, like a shooter. An isometric shooter, almost, where you play as this bubble boy who is allergic to everything. And that's literally all the information I could find. And the video I saw doesn't look like it has very interesting gameplay at all, and it just kind of looks like, haha, he's allergic to everything, isn't that funny? And no, just nay.
Yeah, I'm the one that put in the player nay games for this podcast, and I only put this one on there for the name of the game. Once you see the video and stuff, it's not that interesting. I'm sure it's very cheap on Steam.
Yeah.
So if you are curious about it, it's not going to set you back that much to give it a try, but it's a nay for me as well.
I'm always interested in indie games, so I'll say maybe a slight play.
You won't feel like you won't feel good about it. Just like I kind of didn't feel very good about Blood and Bacon on the marathon.
You love that game. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah. Once I actually kind of started playing it and getting a little into it, it was it was a nice little 99-cent thing. But when I first booted it up, I was like, oh God, what have I gotten myself into? But we digress again. Let's see here. I said nay, you said nay, and Sean said slight play. Just because. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we hadn't missed somebody, because that would be par for the course for this show. Alright, so next game up on the list is Gryphon Knight Epic, releasing for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC tomorrow, March 30th, 2016. Published and developed by Cyber Rhino Studios. This is a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, set in medieval times, so you're like on a griffin with a crossbow, basically. It looks pretty interesting to me. I mean, the gameplay looked pretty solid. The visual style is amazing, to the point, before I saw who the studio was, I thought it was a new game by the Rogue Legacy people. Like, I was like, oh, wow, I'm on board already, because the game looks amazing for a 2D side-scroller. It's well done. So yeah, I'm gonna actually say play on this.
Yeah, it's a play for me too. Like you said, it looks very beautiful. It looks like the gameplay is pretty crisp and looks fast and enjoyable. Just a lot of action going on a very cartoony game. So, yeah, absolutely, it's a play for me.
Yeah, it's a play for me too. I agree with the whole looks like Rogue Legacy thing, and a dude running a griffin, shooting things. I'm totally on that.
It's better than some of the Japanese shooters that West plays.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that either.
I'm trying to figure out which game you're talking about.
You have some weird Japanese shooters that you were trying to get me to play. I'm trying to think of
RPGs, maybe, but
were they RPGs? I'm just thinking of the there's some weird shooters, and I just associate them with you.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
I guess. Moving on. Last game on the list is Quantum Break, releasing for Xbox One and PC April 5th, 2016. Developed by Remedy, published by Microsoft. This is the big release of basically this month.
No, we already talked about that one.
Okay, yeah, for most people, this is the big release of this month. This is it's like I want to say it's a third-person shooter, and then it's got like the live-action TV interludes. Like it's basically a storytelling experiment. I honestly don't know what to think about this game, because apparently Alan Wake was a pretty good story, but not a very good game, from what I remember hearing. And that, coupled with the fact that this game was only very recently announced for PC and was originally announced as an Xbox One exclusive, when I personally see no reason to get an Xbox One right now. I didn't really pay very much attention to this game, and I don't have enough evidence in front of me to justify saying play, so I'm going to say nay.
What do you think, Sean?
I've been waiting for Quantum Break. I love Alan Wake. I actually had to review the sequel that was one of the first, like, digital download, like, big-time games, and I don't know who said it was not a very good game. They are wrong on that front. It's actually a unique experience in that the way you have to get out of fight, at least in the first one, you're not really trying to kill the zombies so much. You're trying to kind of get away from them. In the second one, they make it more about trying to kill them. So, I really enjoy that game. I love Alan Wake, and Remedy, they have not steered me wrong, and I probably like Max Payne 3 more than most people. So I have not been steered wrong by a game from Remedy yet, so I'm waiting very eagerly for this game.
Oh, Remedy made Max Payne 3?
No, Max Payne 3 was Rockstar.
Remedy had stuff to do with it, though.
Huh. First I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've only played a little. I've never been a big fan of the Max Payne games, but I had no clue. I'm with Wes here with like, I haven't paid that much attention to Quantum Break. I know it's like the big game coming up, especially since Uncharted got pushed back again. But I don't know, it's going to be one of those games where I wait to kind of see how the reviews go and how maybe watch somebody stream it or something just to kind of see how it works. For now, it's a slight play, but it's not anything I'm jumping out of my seat to go get.
Well, yeah, I think we're all at the point now. I mean, I think even with, for me, I'm at the point now where I pay attention to reviews for any game, just because you never know. Even that game that you think is going to be awesome, it can come up janky, and you don't want to be that launch buyer that gets the janky game,
True. Well, that'll about do it for Quantum Break and Player Nay. Let's go ahead and move along to the co-played game for this episode, which is why Sean is back this episode, because it's kind of continuing off of my solo game from last episode, Kingdom Hearts 2. Developed by Square Enix Product Development Division 1, published by Square Enix. The original released in the United States on the PlayStation 2 on March 28th, 2006. That was the version Randy played.
The correct version.
Released December 22nd, 2005 in Japan. Myself and Sean played the final mix version of the game, which we played it via the 2.5 HD remix, which released on the PlayStation 3 on December 2nd, 2014 here in the United States. Released October 2nd of the same year in Japan. And I guess that's a good place to start with as any, is what exactly is the difference between Final Mix and 2? And that is a very good question with a lot of different components to the answer. Final Mix is basically the international release of Kingdom Hearts 2. I say international because basically it released in Japan, and then they made a few improvements between Japan and the original release in the States, and then they kept working on it, added more stuff, and then released Final Mix in Japan. And let's see here. There's an entirely new limit form, because one of the gameplay mechanics of 2 is you can switch Sora into different forms that do different things. Like, depending on which party member you use to do the form, like Goofy's form is all about physical attacking. Donald's form is all about magic. That sort of thing. You get a form later on in the game that combines basically the two decent aspects of both forms. That sort of thing. And then limit form that gets added in Final Mix is basically, hey, here's all the stuff you love from one crammed into one form, which was interesting, I guess would be the word I would use. Let's see here. There's a whole bunch of new bosses, new optional bosses, and one not so optional boss. God damn it.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. People who've watched me on stream know who I'm talking about. Let's see here. What else is there gameplay wise? There's a bunch of new like puzzle pieces you can find scattered throughout the worlds that you can use to complete puzzles, just as kind of a little bonus thing. I already mentioned the optional bosses, new optional bosses. I really feel like they might have reshuffled around like the order you learn abilities in Final Mix. Because, you know, when I got stuck, I was looking at a specific walkthrough, and the walkthrough, a couple times I noticed the walkthrough said, for winning this fight, you'll get this ability and this ability, and I'd look over at my screen and I would have gotten 2 different abilities. You know? So I feel like maybe they reshuffled things a little bit, between...
It also depends on, what weapon you choose at the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the thing they do. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. So I'm trying to think of any of the other differences, and I'm blanking off the top of my head.
I think everything else is more...
they redid all the audio.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of it's all cosmetic, and like, watching your stream looked way different than what I was playing, and I did watch one video today of a comparison, and the one thing that I did notice, and he had brought up on his video, was, yes, like, obviously the remix looks way better, but actually it loaded faster on 2. On the original PS2 game than it does on the PS3. But yeah, it's just everything was more crisp, all the sounds were better. Like, I remember complaining to Sean about the theme music in Pirates of the Caribbean being completely butchered in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're playing a different one.
Yeah. Well,
they had fixed it. But.
Okay, so game features new weapons, new equipment, new abilities, new enemies, a brand new drive form, and a new area to explore in Hollow Bastion. The Cavern of Remembrance.
New cutscenes.
New cutscenes, yeah.
And most of them having to do with organization things.
Yep.
So you aren't missing a whole lot, Randy.
No, I didn't think I was. And there's the one thing I feel like I missed. I'm happy I did.
Fuck you. I mean...
So, you guys had both played the original Kingdom Hearts recently. It's been a few years for me now.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to this. So, hey, to me, the controls felt a little different, but like, I don't want to say they felt bad, because, I mean, different button formations work differently for different games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just so used to it being one specific way. So I remember like the first, I want to say maybe even 10 hours of this game, I would find myself just randomly hitting wrong buttons. Just going, no, this should be the button that does this. So I'm sure you guys didn't have that kind of problem. So the one thing I kind of wish it had was, where you could change all of your buttons. Cause I don't know how it would have affected you guys, but I really wish jump was X. I really wish attack was square. I wish like block was L1. Just like, cause that's a lot of the games I played. That's how that works. So it's like, it's not like, I don't want to say it's like, it's a knock on Kingdom Hearts. Cause again, I got used to it and everything worked really well. I want to say the controls as far as the gameplay goes worked really well, but Did you guys find yourself wishing different button formations worked, or did they change anything from 1 to 2?
I can't think of anything they specifically changed button-wise. The one major thing they introduced was there's a lot more opportunity during battles for, reactions, basically quick time events. And that was basically the one thing I noticed is, you do have to be a bit more on your toes during battles in 2 than 1. Because, you never know when you're going to get a reaction command to, for example, not die in one fucking hit. God damn it, Roxas. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, it also does, aside from the Roxas battle, the reaction commands do make the battles also easier. So that was, I remember that being a big knock on the game originally when it first came out. Everybody was like, oh my god, these reaction commands, these battles should be harder, but now I can just press triangle at certain parts and it, does a whole part of the battle for me. It's up to you as to how you feel about that, but I personally enjoy it because you see it. Mm-hmm. When you have to do it over and over again, it kind of gets annoying.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as if you had to keep pressing X over and over again and seeing the same attack over and over again. So,
Well, I just like it because it added variety to the bosses. It added, like you said, it's just something different on your screen instead of just hitting X over and over. Now it adds a little bit of a strategy to it where you're trying to get yourself in position. Like once you start figuring out the boss, he's getting ready to do this or reaction command's about to pop up. So now I can really set him up for a big attack. So
yeah.
I liked how that worked. The magic did they have the quick menu in 1?
Yes.
Okay. Like I said, it's been years. I didn't know. I did enjoy using that a lot and messing around with a few of the spells or items and
they actually expanded the quick menu system a bit in 2 because in 1, you only had 3 slots, and it had to be magic spells. In 2, you could use all 4 face buttons, and you could have items set to the quick menu. The one drawback to the items being a quick shortcut is they just automatically assume you want to use the item on Sora. That was the one main complaint I had with it. But then again, if you're using a shortcut already, you probably want it on Sora anyway. So I guess I can see the logic there, but at the same time,
because usually they heal themselves. You know, so
unless you're like me and never gave them items, because that was just something I hated from 1 was how much they used the items, and even on their lowest setting, I was just like, no.
It's going to be a complaint when we get to the next section on this, because I've had this discussion with Sean, but as far as the item management and all of that.
I felt like the whole game, basically, it just wants you to know that there's more things happening on screen. Like, between having to switch between the drives and the limits and all that stuff. Just what you now have at your fingertips when you go into battle is a lot than when they try to put a bunch of enemies on screen that you didn't have that many in the first game. Mm-hmm. Just adds more to it. So it's like chaos happening.
Yeah, and that chaos actually was why, like, later on in the game where, like, the strategy becomes so important, I started to struggle with. Because the beginning of this game is pretty simple, to a fault at times, where I was getting annoyed with the game because I was like, this is just paint by numbers action RPG, and it was driving me nuts because it was like, this is Kingdom Hearts, this is Disney and Square Enix, this should be something completely original and different, and I felt like the first half of the game they didn't. And then that's why I loved the second half, because then they were really starting to mess around with some stuff. But the one thing I did notice was just them trying to mix all of that stuff that you were talking about, Sean, in your menus with all that stuff at your fingertips, and then try to be able to use that correctly while so much chaos was going on. I feel like a lot of the times in some of the boss battles, I won't say frustration, but like most like heart beating moments was like going, oh crap, I have to get to this in the menu while still trying to look up at what was going on so I could still block at the right times and stuff. It was like, I would get so like flustered with the crazy gameplay that I would forget how to use my my menu system in the heat of battle. So it was a constant struggle mentally for me to go, okay, all of this shit is going on the screen, but I need to calm down for 2 seconds and go down here to the items and collect the one I really want right now before shit really hits the fan.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. They let you actually, while the battle's going on, you can collect items. You couldn't do that in the first game. You had to wait till all the enemies were done. Which is nice, because sometimes you just want to go through, get your items, and leave.
Yep. Yeah. Where were we? Oh, good lord. I mean, to me, I relied mostly on magic to do my healing, because I failed at multitasking. Like, a lot of my pain in the fight we will be talking a lot about probably at length here shortly, was, I had to stop what I was doing and get to that item while the boss was doing his thing all over the place. But, so yeah, I had issues with it, but not enough to ding it, because I just eventually got to the point where I was like, okay, that's just my real oh shit button. I'll just try not to get hit and use cure whenever I can.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying it as like a ding. Like, I liked how the gameplay worked for the most part. I mean, we'll get to some of my issues in different sections as we go along. But the one thing that I didn't understand, I guess, I mean, I'm totally cool with it, and it was just based on strategy, was that the fact that, like, all the limit breaks use the same MP. And, like, I know they were trying to nerf cure, because you guys have both told me that you could just overuse it in one.
Yeah.
But, like...
Yeah, and they didn't even have arrow in the...
but just the fact that,
game,
like, you would have to go into battles, like, the final boss for me, I had many times where I had to stop and go, okay, do I want to try to use a limit on him? Or do I want to save all this MP for the one heal I'm going to be able to do?
Yeah.
Because I wish those were on two different things. I'm totally cool with Cure using up all of the MP, where you wouldn't be able to use the other magic if you wished. Or it would take a while before you could Cure again. But it was like, if you use Cure, it really did take out so many other opportunities for other things that you could do. So again, it added a lot of strategy to the battle. So in a way, I kind of enjoyed it, but it was just a decision that they made that I was a bit unsure if I liked it or not.
Yeah, I think that comes from not wanting another bar on the screen. Yeah. That's another, you have to remember part of this is also that this game still has to appeal to, a certain age of kids, so if you clutter the screen up too much and you try to explain too much, and it's like, oh, well, I think the strategy it adds is so much better, because in the first game it was just so, okay, I'm just gonna hit triangle, and I just gotta make sure that I don't run out of MP, and then eventually you get to the point where your MP just keeps filling up every time you get hit or you hit someone, mm-hmm. So it's like you would basically never run out unless you got to like the end of the game where you have to constantly cure yourself because you're getting half your life taken out constantly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's what they're, like you said, what they're trying to do, and they did a great job with that. And then even, I mean, unless it's hidden in there somewhere, with one of these bosses that are optional, I don't even know that you can even have arrow, which was another thing that totally you could spam in the first game and win battles for you.
Yeah, because, Randy, arrow was basically a protect spell. It like ridiculously reduced the amount of damage you took. Was arrow spells.
I'm sure we used it, but it's been.
And if you had arrow Aga, it would reflect things by itself.
Yeah.
So half the attacks would go right back at the other enemy.
Yeah.
So one of the complaints I do have about this game, and Wes is getting on me when I was complaining about stuff early on about how I don't get RPGs. I get RPGs. But, like, the menu system itself worked for the most part. Like, everything was there. Like, so you can change your quick magic spells and you can do all of your abilities and stuff, which I kind of feel like there was too many abilities. Because I would get to the point where I was like, I don't even care what I have anymore. Like, I'm sure there was many strategies of bouncing things around, but Sean helped me once because you have your reaction commands. Well, then I turned on auto limit.
Oh God, yeah.
Made it the same button as the reaction command. So you'd be in a battle and you go to hit the reaction command, but you'd be right next to Donald. So you would do his limit instead, and then it would screw everything up for a while, and then you get really mad. Well, I had no idea I even turned that on because I just started throwing things that looked good in there. Like I gave up on trying to figure out the strategy of it because there was almost too much at times. I don't know how you guys felt, but
I would agree with you I would agree with you for Sora. The other Donald and Goofy not so much. But Sora definitely became a question of, holy crap, what am I doing? Like,
and every time I got an AP boost, I just gave it to Sora. I'm like, you have 900 things you can learn. Let's learn as many as we can.
That's probably something I should do that would help with the roadblock I have right now, is I still have about 15 AP boosts in my inventory that I could probably stand to use.
That would probably help you, yeah.
But, okay, so I want to get to it, and I want to get it with Sean, because Sean and I have had this discussion a lot.
Well, I mean, like, to y'all's point, I think it's fine because it adds, different ways to play the game. I mean, it depends on you. If you're someone that uses guard a lot, they have, like, 10 different ways that you can take advantage of the fact that you use guard, and it does a lot of the same things and even better, to like counter or do something instead of, and if you don't use it at all, which for a lot of the game you really don't even need to, there's other ways to learn. I mean, and they all have descriptions and stuff of what it does.
Well,
so
yeah,
it depends on how you play.
We're gonna get to, so it
does get overwhelming. I agree with you.
It does.
It's overwhelming.
I think to me, and the reason why, like, I was bitching a lot, I would say, about the first 8 to 10 hours of this game to you guys about what the hell happened. Because I remember loving Kingdom Hearts. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 starts, and I really think it was because it was too simplistic. That, like, I got bored with it. But then the problem is, then the game flips. And now all the bosses need that strategy. So then when I went into that ability menu and tried to figure all that out, I had so much where I just went, oh, I don't know. Because literally the first 8 to 10 hours, I could beat the game by hitting X over and over and over, and then occasionally hit triangle. I didn't have to learn anything. Like, there was no learning curve for a while. It was just simple, basic. Everything's the same, no big deal. But the thing I want to get with Sean, because he and I have had this discussion a couple times, but so I totally get that in battle, if you want to make it realistic, which saying an RPG battle system in Disney universes with things called Heartless as realistic is one thing. But I mean, I totally get why you can only have so many items with you to start a battle. 100% totally okay with that. I'm not begging to have 99 high potions in every battle. I don't need that, and I love how it really makes you use them sparingly throughout the battle. The thing that I hated, because I had no clue it was possible to fix it until Sean told me, and then I went searching and found it, it would not replenish the things I used.
Well,
like at the end of the battle. Like, if I use a high potion, I would like it to, okay, you have set to use a high potion, so we're going to put a high potion back in there if you have one, and go along your business. Because there were many times where I would, because the checkpoint system in this game's messed up too, but I would take the time, set up for a battle, go into the battle, die, reset. The game has decided that it will reset before I did all of that work. I won't realize it, go into battle, and then go to heal, and none of my items were equipped. So then Sean tells me that no, if you hit triangle on it, it will now auto-replenish. And I'm like, well, it should do that to begin with, and I should have to go in there and tell it not to if I choose to. So I go in there to try to and hit triangle, and it works. I'm like, well, where the hell in this entire game has it ever told me where this is possible? So I looked at the menu, and it has, hit select for help. And when you hit help, boom, then it explains in great detail how this worked. I'm like, just allow it to do it. I thought it felt like it was so ass backwards. It was so, some parts of the item usage was so, like, anti-user in parts, where it was like, no, you have to go through and do this all manually, because we don't want to help you at all.
Okay, Tron.
Okay. I understood that reference.
I didn't until the game. Tron is one of those worlds that I've never seen the movie, so.
Yeah, that's the only reason I have that movie and I have the sequel is because of Kingdom Hearts.
There you go.
And I wound up loving the movie because the game introduced.
I'm not saying it's game breaking, but Sean, don't you agree with me that if it would have just allowed it to do it to begin with, it would have worked better?
Well, you understand, I explained to you why they did not do that, right?
Well, yeah, for Goofy and Donald, but I'm like Wes, I don't give them shit.
Well, see, the problem, most people will not sit there and look in the menu and do all that. They'll just keep playing, and they don't realize that Goofy and Donald, no matter what you did last time, unless you just gave them nothing until the boss, they would waste all your items. So they had to sort of nerf that by saying, okay, we're really going to make these, when we say only an emergency, it's really going to be only an emergency this time. And we're going to introduce this auto reload thing, but we're not going to do it at the start, because if we do it and then everybody keeps realizing why all their items are gone, they're going to freak out and get mad. So they let you figure out that there's an auto reload, and then you can set it when you want to.
By hitting the help menu on an item screen. It's not even...
I remember if you hit... But see, there's a little triangle thing that shows up when you go through. If you hit triangle, it'll ask you about the auto reload or not. You just you have to notice that the triangle button is there.
I have to go back and look, because I don't think that was part of the PS2 version, because
yeah, that might have been one of those.
It never asked me anything, and then when I went in there and hit triangle, it just popped it on there saying that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I want to say there was a tutorial in that interminably long tutorial, which I now get why people say Kingdom Hearts 2's tutorial is really long, because it's really long. There could very much have been a tutorial in the item shops that I spaced out on because we'll get to that.
You didn't need to buy anything.
Yeah, I didn't need to buy anything, and I have attempted to play Kingdom Hearts 2 at least 4 or 5 times, if not more, and have never been able to get through the tutorial. So I really was, I think, just pushing through it as much as I could. And I'm sure I had spaced out on things.
Oh yeah, I mean, if the tutorial wasn't good at actually setting the story and kind of explaining things from Chain of Memories that if you didn't play that game, you kind of get to understand, and things from 358 over 2 days that you kind of get to understand, and it's just like, well, if you don't understand why it still didn't need to be that long.
Well,
they could have done more cutscenes throughout that explain that without having that 6-hour tutorial or whatever.
But the opening is fine. Like that long opening video they had that kind of went through all of that stuff, like quick cliff notes. I had no problem with. It was then, so you're going through as Roxas, and his whole stage is basically the tutorial to get you used to the system and stuff. And it was that section, along with the first few worlds of this game, that I had problems with, because it was there where I realized, and again, you guys are going to have to correct me if it was like this in 1 and I have just blocked it out, where it just never lets you get in a rhythm. I want to say for most of this game even, you would go through 2 screens and then have another cutscene. And then get control and then have 1 screen of enemies and then have another cutscene. And then do 2 screens with some enemies in it. And then you'd have a cutscene. And the cutscenes weren't like Metal Gear Solid cutscenes or anything, but they just happened so often that I just never felt like I was getting in a rhythm in the game, and it, to me, felt really boring. I hate to say it, and a lot of it was because I played this game later at night for the most part, but I fell asleep to this game twice. Because the beginning is so simple and pretty easy to do, and it's like, again, every 2 minutes they're stopping the gameplay for another minute-long cutscene of randomness. In the intro especially, where you're getting to know Roxas and his friends, and it's stuff that you just really don't care about. It's just, it got really tedious to me.
That's probably a pretty fair cop, but I guess more different strokes for different folks sort of thing. Because I didn't really feel like it was breaking rhythm for me at all. But I can see where you're coming from with it. I don't personally agree.
No, I got you.
Yeah, I can see. Have to. Yeah, I don't see. I can see why you're saying it, but I'm saying it wasn't a problem for me.
The first game, the difference is in the first game, the worlds were bigger. So you had more to explore in the world itself. So you don't have that problem because you're constantly running around. And the difference is also like when you get, except for when you get like to some of the later worlds, in this game, because it's also smaller, when you get through a portion, the Heartless don't come back. So you're kind of just going through a couple of screens, and then you get to this cutscene, you get done with the Heartless, you go to the next screen. In the first game, anytime you went to a different area, you went back to that other area, the Heartless were there again. So you're constantly like battling all the time. Mm-hmm. So, not to mention you're running around this bigger world, you're constantly fighting things, so you don't even think about, you're almost hoping, please let there be a cutscene so I can stop. Instead of what you run into in the second game.
Yeah.
Where it kind of feels like you're just walking through these passages instead of running through this world sometimes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's kind of where I was coming from. But we want to hit on some of these worlds, I guess. Wes, which ones do you think really worked really well?
I honestly didn't have a problem with any of the worlds per se. There's only one boss fight in particular that is common to both versions of the game.
We'll get to the bosses. I'm just like, what were some of your favorite worlds? I guess to go to and experience and play through.
I've got to say, probably my favorite world is going to have to be Tron. We're talking specifically the Disney worlds, right? Because
any world that so any of the stuff you want to.
Yeah, because I would probably have to say Disney, or Disney. Holy fuck! Wow. I think I'm going to count that as my English moment for the stream.
It's a podcast, not a stream.
Oh Jesus!
He has stream on the brain.
Oh my lord!
So while Wes tries to remember how to speak, Sean, what about you? What ones that you like?
I was lucky that Kingdom Hearts 2 has like my 2 favorite movies in it. Pirates of the Caribbean and Nightmare Before Christmas. So the Pirates of the Caribbean I didn't care too much for because it's basically like watching the movie happen. I like the fact that when you're fighting the enemies, you have to actually only fight them in moonlight. So it kind of adds a lot of strategy, because there's times where they just barely get in the, not in the moonlight, and you're like, oh, come on, man. He's almost dead. God. I think my favorite, though, like I said, the reason why I actually love the movie now is Tron.
Yeah.
It takes you through, and you really feel like you're back in the freaking 80s, and they're talking about users and control programs and all this stuff, and it's just like, and it's all foreign to Sora, so you kind of get to feel that inside of like what you're feeling, because we didn't really I mean, we got like a little bit of the MS-DOS when we were young, but other than that, we kind of always been around with Windows where we didn't have those kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
Did you learn to speak English now, Wes?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to say Tron would be my favorite. The one exception, the one blemish on Tron's record, though, is the Solar Sailor event. Because what it is it's something that occurs in a lot of the worlds, is they have an event where you need to clear a bunch of Heartless before a bar fills up, and usually it's a timer. It's essentially a timer in a different skin. Well, for the Solar Sailor mechanic, they say it's the weight of the Heartless is throwing the Solar Sailor off track. However, the weight bar constantly goes up no matter if you are killing Heartless or not. And it felt to me like they had it tuned so, to the point that it took me it took me a good number of attempts to finally clear the damn thing. And when I did, I was literally probably 5 seconds away from failing the event.
Yeah, I didn't mind the toughness of it, but I'm with you. And that's a complaint that I had with you earlier, was a lot of their events that they would have throughout the game were the same thing. It was clear the Heartless. Okay, clear the Heartless. Now clear the Heartless with the timer. Now clear the Heartless with a morale system, which is basically a timer. Or now the weight system in Tron, which is just a timer, because even when you kill stuff, the weight doesn't go down. So I was like, okay, I get it. We don't have to go through this. And I will say that was another part of my frustration, is it had to stop the gameplay to give me the conditions of the battle, which was always defeat the Heartless. I was like, I get it.
I hated the morale thing more than the weight. I agree with you, Wes. It took me a couple of times to figure out that, I just need to use Tron's limit when the big purple things show up, because if not, there's no way I'm going to freaking kill them before the weight thing is. But the morale thing, I was just kind of like, this is so annoying. These little orbs come up, and I feel like they aren't really making the morale thing go down. So I'm just trying to gather up these orbs and then trying to kill these things at the same time, and that's really a lot to do at once.
Mm-hmm.
With this.
But kind of answer the question I had. I'm with you guys. Tron felt really good. The worlds I liked, I think, for the most part, were the new ones, because that's what I liked about the first one. You're kind of going through the story, but it's twisted a little bit because Sora and Donald and Goofy are there, so they're interacting more. And to Sean's point, Pirates doesn't really do that. It's you're playing that movie, and you just happen to be there. So that one felt a little off, but I do love Pirates because of exactly what Sean said, where it changes the way the battles worked, and it really used that world in the battle system, which is what I wanted the whole time. It was like, up until then, everything was so generic and straightforward, and like, yes, you're in Mulan and there's a morale system, but it's not much is different than any like traverse town. That's all the same. So I don't think those worked, but going to the new places made me remember Kingdom Hearts 1 and doing all of that before. The things that I didn't like very much, especially kind of early on, was going back to Worlds. Just because at that point, I mean, it's interesting enough where they're like, oh, hey, how's it going? And, I haven't seen you in forever, and now we have this new issue. Mm. But, like, the first time you go to the Beast World was, I mean, we'll get to bosses in a little bit, but you fight a chandelier or the guy that like took over places in the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what I loved about Kingdom Hearts is you're fighting Heartless through the worlds of Disney, and in the end, you're basically fighting the main boss of that movie. And it made it feel very special and very Kingdom Hearts-like. And especially beginning of this game, when you go back to old places, and it's like, well, yeah, we're back in this world, but now this boss is random Heartless.
Well, the thing with Beauty and the Beast, though, is that movie is very different for a Disney movie because it didn't really have a main antagonist, if I remember correctly. It was just more of an...
Gaston.
Oh, Gaston. Shit.
Come on.
No, oh boy.
But anyways, so...
Yeah, no, but the antagonism from Gaston is kind of a side thing to Beast's own issues inside of himself.
No, so, I got you. I had no problem with it.
I guess that's what I was kind of trying to say was that in most of the other cases that, in Kingdom Hearts 1, the antagonist you end up fighting in Kingdom Hearts 1 was actually fought in the movie as well. Like, a lot of the focus of the movie was on, that conflict. Whereas Beauty and the Beast is more of a character study.
Yeah. And Beauty and the Beast the Beast was just a summon, right? They didn't actually go there, right?
In 1? Yeah, he was the optional party, he was the party member for, Hollow Bastion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for whatever reason, I was thinking that they had gone there before. And it's just not true.
Nope.
But, what's the other one that I do like that when they went back to Nightmare on Elm Street, I did that before. Nightmare Before Christmas, instead of just doing that, then you went to the Christmas world.
Mm-hmm.
I will give them credit for that. They really changed it up and tried something different, and you were still kind of playing through the movie in a way. So that's what I liked about Kingdom Hearts is being able to interact with this stuff. And I really felt like at the beginning of it, there really wasn't as much of that like special Disney feel as they really got going in the second, which is why a twist in this game is you go through all the worlds and then you go to this big event and then you find out you have to go through all the worlds again. And to me, that's where this game turned up because then every single world felt like the movie and everything felt great. And like now you're going to the Beast Castle and now, they get interrupted while doing their big iconic dance scene. And like with the Lion King, you've now beaten Scar. Well, kind of.
Well, see, that's what's funny is some of them you do beat that main boss the first time.
Yeah.
And then they switch it up when you go the second time. So.
And Barbossa, you fight the first time in Port Royal too. Right. So
Scar, you fight the first time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I really felt like, and why I wasn't liking it, there was a few times where you fought the random Heartless the first time, and then something big the second time. Where I felt like it should have been exactly how it was in Lion King and those, where you fought the movie boss the first time, because then the second time it's okay. Now all the shit is becoming real. And now you have to go through and clean all this stuff out again. And then it should have been the big Heartless stuff. I had no problem.
I agree with you. I think the thing is that they didn't want it to feel so samey. So like if you did that the first time, if you went and beat all of the Disney villains the first time, and the second time you're beating all the organization members every time you go to a world or whatever, then it kind of feels like, okay, well, I didn't even get any part of the story until I got to like the second half of the game, and then then people don't care. Like you lose some of the people that are only there for the Disney stuff, so they kind of felt like they had to mix it up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You put that all in the front for all the people that want the Disney stuff, and then go back and fight an organization member in some kind of a theme based around that movie. I would have been fine. And that's another reason why I really like Tron, and we haven't talked about. That was like one of the only worlds that put a mini game in there based around the movie when you were on the bike. Like there were so many opportunities in all these different movies where mini games would have just worked out great. Like you got you're on the magic carpet in Aladdin. That was at least different. I wouldn't have said that was a mini game, but I mean, it works out really well. But I mean, you could have gone through a stampede in The Lion King, or like they teased the big crazy battle in Mulan, and then you are only fighting a few of them, but that would have worked out pretty well. So I think there was just opportunities missed as far as or in Beauty and the Beast, why were all of the Heartless objects? Like they did turn that around. It was something Wes and I had talked about where I want it. What was it, Wes? It was about pirates, I want to say, where then all of a sudden all the Heartless and yourself were very much dressed to the nines as far as the world went. But it just felt like at the beginning it was slow going into that. But.
Yeah, that they were either kind of sort of generic, the generic ones that you've always fought, or all that. I did sort of like the fact that you got to go to see the Mickey stuff too. The Timeless River thing was cool.
Yeah, Timeless River was pretty fun.
You got your mini games there. Right?
Yeah.
But all the mini games were the same.
Except for the damn fire one with the stupid cars.
Oh god,
those cars can go hug a root, man.
Well, the one, my most hated enemy of this game, like standard enemy, because my most hated boss is very obvious at this point, but the standard enemy I hated were the
both, brother.
Assault Rider, which thankfully you only see that.
Mulan?
Yes, thankfully you only see him in Mulan and some of the later Olympus Coliseum Cups. But Assault Riders, for some reason, just ruined my day.
I just figured out you can just spam
Blizzard, yeah. And I finally figured that out, too, and that's what I ended up doing. But for the longest time, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and get around and attack these guys from the back. Oh, God, I just got, stun locked for half my health. Welp. Yeah.
All right, so you had brought up bosses, Wes.
Okay, real quick, though. Yeah. Just one last closing comment on the world.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Did you, Randy?
Yes.
Play any of Atlantica?
I did 2 parts of Atlantica.
How'd you like it?
It was different. I liked it. I was totally fine with it.
Wow.
And that's the whole point.
Beat the whole thing.
But that's my whole point. It's Atlantica felt different, which was I'm totally okay with. Like I joked with Sean, like. So the minigame in Tron, when you're on the bike, start kicking my ass. And I messaged Sean, I go, this thing is destroying me, but I can't bitch. Because all I wanted was minigames. Mm-hmm. And now I have a minigame and it's destroying me.
Yeah.
But with Atlantica, at least it was different. And it went with what that world was.
Yeah.
So I had no problem with it. Did I go through all of it? No. Mostly because...
You basically just watched the movie.
Oh yeah, you're watching a movie and then you do a mini quick time event musical thing. From I'm guessing all of it, but
let's see here. I did 3 parts of it, and the second and third parts are songs from Little Mermaid. Yeah, because so it's part of your world and Under the Sea.
Yeah, I did part of your world.
Well, and the fourth one is like Ursula shows up and takes her voice, and you do all that stuff, and then she has a song that they made for the game, and then it's like you just keep, you have to keep hitting X a ton of times to where it finally does like the excellent thing instead of having it go around and you have to hit it. And then the 5th one is you have to do it all together because it's the whole musical. So they have like a special song for that.
Wow.
Whatever. It's cool.
But the thing with that is, and what I liked about it is, if you played it right, every time a new episode came, if you went and played it, it spread it out. So it was just a good variation of stuff.
Did you guys play any of the Winnie the Pooh?
I played one because I had told you I had no clue where to go after I'd done all the other worlds. I'm like, well, maybe they want me to do the Pooh stuff.
Yeah. I have all the torn pages.
You get the best cure if you beat all of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. Well then, if Roxas keeps kicking my ass, I might have to go do that then, because I have all the torn pages.
The mini games are easy, but they're a nice little diversion.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I really wish that the worlds felt different. And near the end of the game,
I have my 4-year-old sitting there watching me, and she kind of goes off when Sora or Donald and Goofy aren't on the screen, but when Winnie the Pooh shows up, she's like, all right, I'm paying attention now.
All right, so let's get to the bosses here. Unfortunately, you guys both played the final mix version, which has a new boss that you were both stuck on, unfortunately. And I don't know what you guys' problem is, because I beat him the first try.
Fuck you.
What an ass.
But no, so you end up fighting Roxas at one point near the end of the game in the new mix, which I watched Wes play for a while, and I'm teasing you guys, but I am so glad I didn't have to do that boss fight, or I would be stuck right along with you. I could almost guarantee it. He looks like he means no business. But let's take him out of the equation. What, other than him, Wes, what was your favorite boss to fight, and who was the toughest one? And if you want to throw in the worst one, because you and I have talked about what you dislike the most. So
yeah.
That one too.
Yeah. Okay, so favorite, that's a tough one. Because I don't really have a standout favorite boss fight in this, because the ones that, with the exceptions of the ones that I hate, the rest of them I have no problem with. So I might come back to that after you guys answer that, see if something shakes loose. Toughest boss for me would be the Organization 13 member whose name I'm blanking on in the Beast Castle Revisit.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Because
Zeldin.
Yeah, that sounds right. Zeldin, that's right. Because now I remember Beast yelling at him. But that fight, I'm actually gonna have to go back to my VOD of that stream and like get the fight this happened in. But Mickey came and saved my ass 3 times in a row in the same attempt at the fight.
I just remember Randy being so pissed at the guy that he's like, man, I can't even like have it hit triangle. I'm so mad.
Yeah. You have to wait for the triangle, the learn command, and stock a whole bunch of jumps, and then just use all of them at once. And
well, my issue with it was you get near the end, and he does a thing where he's flying across the side or whatever, and then
the dragon thing.
Yeah, I had like 3 straight attempts before I just walked away for a while. Where after he started doing that, so you're near the end of the boss fight, where he would do his jumping around stuff, and not once would it give me the command to do the jump or learn jump. So I was basically stuck, and he would just wreck you like no other. And I think it was that boss fight where I learned that Donald and Goofy are retards, because they just would run into damage. It's just so much.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point. I mean, you totally understand that the CPU is not going to be the greatest in these kind of games. I learned that in Resident Evil 5. But oh my goodness, like okay, so Donald's gonna be able to heal me here a little bit. I'll be good, and then he would just run into danger.
Yeah.
Like, just stay over there.
Yeah, for most of that battle, they're dead.
Yes. All right, so that's the type of.
I used Beast and his freaking limit saved my butt a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have a different, tougher one, Sean? Or are you in agreement? I'm in agreement.
Well, no, I mean, obviously the toughest one is, the one me and Wes are stuck on, but,
yeah, Roxas.
I think Zeldin for sure, because he comes at a certain point in the game where you're going, okay, I've kind of beaten everything to this point, and then Zeldin comes, you're like, holy shit, it just got real. Like,
he does. And the boss that's right after where you guys are stuck, which, again, is not part of Kingdom Hearts 2, I wouldn't say I wouldn't put him in the hardest difficulty. He has a lot of different forms, and he bounces around a ton. He might be the most frustrating out of the difficult bosses because he bounces around so much, but he also has a form that he becomes unhittable for a while, and you have to really be on your toes, because if you get caught in this one attack, he basically bounces you until you're dead. So you have to be careful there, and then you basically get stuck in a loop between him doing that section and then another one where he is teleporting all over the place where you're able to get 2 or 3 hits. So like literally I would cake all the way to that section, and then that section would take me 4 times as long as it did to get to that section. So it is also very difficult, but it's more of it's really tedious at the end.
Yeah.
Wes hadn't come up with one. Sean, do you have a favorite boss?
Favorite boss? Jeez.
While you think, I'll say mine, and you guys haven't got there yet, so I don't want to spoil too much about it. But so you have the boss that is after where you guys are stuck with Roxas that I just talked about, and a little bit later you have another organization member that you fight, and it's kind of a game. He's very much into cards and dice.
Oh, I've seen him in cutscenes, so.
So, but that is your fight scene. He basically starts the fight by turning you into a die that you have to then roll around without getting hit. And what I really liked about this one, I mean, because there are a few really unique bosses, but about this one, it's not about hit points, especially. I mean, you can still die if you run out of hit points, and getting hit messes things up, but it's all about timer. So it's like, it sets up like a Street Fighter 2 thing where you have your 2 life bars, but those are your time bars. And they're both slowly going down, and when you get hit, yours goes down just a little bit more. So there becomes a lot more strategy of getting him down below you and then just not getting hit. Like, then you can really start just avoiding him and survive that way. So I just liked it because it was a little bit more unique and different than some of the other organization guys that just wrecked your shit. Wes, have you come up with one yet?
I'm still blanking. I'm looking at a list right now. But one I will say, least favorite, Jafar. Because my problem with it is, I don't know if it was something they did in Final Mix or what, but he feels like he has way too much HP for his gimmick. Because Jafar is the one place where I would agree with the original detractors of this game that said reaction commands ruin the game. Because Jafar's boss fight in the Agrabah Revisit is literally, you hit his stomach weak point until it's until it's out of HP. That causes him to bend over in pain and expose his tail, which you then grab and then do the whole, spin around and pull real fast to make him dizzy thing that allows you to wail on his head for a combo or two before he perks back up, and you repeat until his HP bar is done.
I see why it took you so long. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, but it was just that for an interminable amount of time, and I was just like, okay, why?
Oh, and then he does the stupid thing where he has the furniture come out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
Sends you to the next dimension. Yeah. It's tedium incarnate.
And then it's a pain because he goes, like, you're trying to hit him. By the time he leaves you alone, he's right back at the furniture thing. I'm like, oh my god, I just want to kill this stupid dude. Like,
Yep.
The one thing I learned about that boss, and I think why I didn't find him as tedious, I agree, he wasn't that great. I was so excited because they teased it the first time with Aladdin, and I didn't realize that we were revisiting later on. So I'm like, why do you tease this big genie Jafar fight and then not have it? So then I was disappointed because it wasn't that great. But the one thing I learned about it was once you hit him in the stomach for a while, you can destroy his head for a good little bit before you can grab his tail. So it's basically like you're getting twice as much damage in, because you can beat him up for a while and then do the tail thing, and then you have that whole time.
Okay, yeah, I guess I can see that.
So I think that's why I didn't find it as tedious, was just because I did that. The one I didn't like as much, again, at least it was different, was the hyenas and the Lion King.
Oh my Jesus. God, having to chase the hyenas around?
Yeah.
That's so annoying.
And you guys can answer me this, because I don't know if I was just going crazy or what, but could you sneak up like a cat and they wouldn't see you? Because I started attempting to just slowly walk up to them, and it seemed to almost work. And then once I'm like, boom, this is working, I would start sneaking up, and Donald would run up and screw everything up.
I would just try to figure out, do the whole, okay, you're going to run this way or I'm going to run the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd eventually find them, and it was just, God, it felt like you're just going around in circles a million times until you actually got to hit one.
I did that fight for about 2 minutes, and then I hit pause. I queued up Yakety Sax on on stream, and I just went to it.
That's perfect.
I just went, okay, hold on a minute. I've got a better soundtrack for this. Click Yakety Sax. Okay, let's go.
I have to go watch that part. That's good.
Man.
I actually do have a favorite fight now. Grim Reaper from the Port Royal revisit.
Which one was that?
The one where he like vacuumed up the medallions from the chest.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, where you have the big boss and there's a treasure chest in the middle, and you have to beat him up to get the coins to fall down, and then put him on the chest, and then he becomes
vulnerable. Yeah,
I like that. I agree with you. That was a very enjoyable and different kind of boss. Which is why I love the second half of this game, because the bosses felt unique and different.
Yeah, I love the MCP because of that. Because
the MCP fight in Tron's pretty good too.
The MCP fight, I would agree with you, but that was before you taught me how that I had turned on auto limit on.
Oh god!
So that boss made me really mad because you would break down the wall and go to do.
Oh god! Yeah.
Command on.
Oh yeah.
And then instead of that, I would do a limit and then go. Well.
Yeah, I did that.
And then just have to stand there.
I did that a few times too, where Tron started doing setup instead of delete, and I was just like, son of a bitch.
Is there a better limit than Tron setup? Because once you hit the main thing of that limit, it just wrecks everything.
Oh yeah, it just stays on the, and it also like basically homes in on the thing. Yeah. So
that's okay. Awesome. Any last words on bosses?
Fuck you, Roxas.
Ooh. That's a good cutscene.
God.
Fuck you, Randy.
So, just real quick, gummy ships are a little different. Wes still hates them.
Yep.
I didn't mind them as much. I mean, they felt better. Wes will tell you why he thinks it was just to change camera angles and stuff. But I felt like they sped it up a little bit more, added a little bit more action to it. I think, from what I remember from Kingdom Hearts 1, it was a far more open area and just went slower. This one, a little bit more high action. They still could have done a little bit more to it. But I think it was still an improvement from 1, Sean.
I liked them, and a lot more in 2. Yes, you're still hitting a button. And actually, there's an option where you can just make it auto fire the entire time if you want to. But I like them a lot more. Again, it goes with the whole theme of number 2 is there's so much more happening on screen.
Yeah.
So you and it moves you around, and so you can actually. The only thing I don't like about Gummy Ship is it is a pain in the frickin' ass to actually construct the Gummy Ship in this game, whereas at least in the first one, it was sort of manageable. They make it to where basically you want to use the blueprints they give you, because I couldn't even figure out how to make a gummy ship in this game.
Yeah. Sorry, we're having a discussion here about something else real quick, but
I can't do 2 things at once.
Yeah, nope. Not at this point in the day. I've been at work, and then I did stream, and now this, and anyway. I will say, yes, I like the gummy ship better in 2 than in 1, but I'm still not a fan of the entire minigame. Like, yes, they sped it up a little bit, which was, now that I think about it, a complaint I had about 1 was that it felt really slow. But, and yes, they kind of spiced up the camera a little bit. But other than that, it still felt like the same underlying mechanic of hit the fire button, win.
Yeah, I mean, but that's most like spaceship shoot 'em ups. It's fire.
I did like there was one level where you have the thing that chases you from the behind, and there was times where he actually got kind of close to me.
Yeah, that one was pretty decent, but it just still strikes me as a mechanic that I didn't really feel was very necessary. I say mechanic, I mean what I'm trying to say, minigame. I just feel like it was kind of just padding there to be there, and it just didn't really feel like it added much to the game at all for me. Like, if they wanted to make this whole entire customization thing, they should have made it a bit more important, because literally, I cleared the entire gummy ship with pretty much the default gummy ships.
Yeah, I just kept clicking the top left one.
Yeah, it was just like, I mean, I think at one point I ended up making a slightly modified version of the ship I had at the time to give it just a little bit more HP, because I was just having trouble getting HP spears to drop. But that was literally it. I didn't change weapons, I didn't change, maneuverability. It was just, well, I'll put a little bit more material on here to give me a little bit more HP, and that was it.
Yeah. But I think you would agree it was at least an improvement from the first one?
Yeah, but, no, I'm saying it was an improvement. I'm just saying I still don't like that it exists.
Alright, so now we get to the part where, I mean, we're not going to, super break down to this. I'm sure there's podcasts all over the place that are going to try to break down the inner workings of this story. You're not going to get that here.
Nope.
Basically, you start as Roxas and you find out that he's the nobody of Sora.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then they combine. And basically, the way I took the main theme of this game is, I won't spoil BioShock Infinite, but it reminded me a lot of the theme of BioShock Infinite. If either of you played that, you can agree or disagree. But just the different realms and the different forms of the same people, because then KHII is merged with
Nominee.
And so they're kind of the same, and everyone kind of has their own little nobody and all that. So they try to make a really complicated story out of this whole thing, that they have a big cutscene at the beginning and then completely ignore for about 15 hours, other than a cutscene here and there. And then really hit home once you kind of get to the last couple worlds, and then really start explaining what's going on with the Ansem, and how the Ansem you fought in the first game was not the real Ansem, and he was just somebody who decided he wanted to become Ansem's nobody or something, and who knows. But it's basically somebody else wants to take control of Kingdom Hearts. And the thing I loved about this one, and I don't know if it was the same thing in the first game, or if it's anywhere you guys have gotten to. So I apologize if this part is a spoiler for you, but it's explained that all of the Heartless that you kill are powering Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
So all of the stuff that you're doing has been helping the main enemy of the game, and is creating the nobodies. And
I think that's hinted at a point well before what we're at right now, because that's pretty much said straight up after the 1000 Heartless battle in Hollow Bastion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember where it was said, because I know that around that section was
that is my absolute favorite part of the game.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
When you get all the Final Fantasy characters and get to fight with them and stuff, it's like, oh my god, this is what I wanted in the first one.
And then I'm sorry, this is the moment that caused me to laugh the most on stream. They seriously try to sell the fact that they're going to kill off Goofy.
Hey, why not? I want you to be mostly invested.
Anybody with
Goofy
half
is
a
my
brain,
favorite character, so that pulled at my heartstrings.
Well, anybody with half a brain should have been like, okay, you really think Disney's going to allow them to seriously kill off on screen one of their most iconic characters? I don't think so.
But Goofy also dies in half his freaking cartoons anyway, doing the stuff he does sometimes. But sorry, that's not the point.
Yeah. So, anything else? If you guys want to explain the story any better? Obviously, I didn't do a great job.
No.
But it's a convoluted thing where they really want you to delve into something.
That's the gist of it, really.
Yeah, this is. Sorry to cut you off, Sean, but it's essentially, this is another step deeper into if the idea of Squaresoft RPG plus Disney characters sounds appealing to you, just go play Kingdom Hearts 1 and then, Chain of Memory, work your way down the line of the timeline of the series. Because we could sit here and try to explain it to you, and we'd sound fucking insane. But it makes sense to us because we've sat there and done, the 50 hours of gameplay to the point.
Does it really? Does it really make sense to you yet, Wes?
No, but yeah, but you get what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like we could sit here and point by point say what's going on, but we'd sound fucking insane.
Okay, so Sean, you're the one out of the three of us that have completed Chain of Memories. I have played it. I don't remember much about it other than it was a card-based game for the Game Boy or Game Boy Advance. And it had introduced this Organization 13 thing. What exactly is the Organization 13?
Well, Ansem the Wise kind of explains it in that part where he talks to Mickey or whatever, but it's an organization made by Ansem that happens because he tells them to do experiments, and then they go and do their own stuff, and they don't have, they're all nobodies of somebody else, and you don't really ever get to find out who their nobodies are, or who their, not, the other selves are, except for Ansem, obviously, but they're just an organization trying to get hearts. So they're trying to, get Kingdom Hearts so that they can all get their hearts back, basically. Or have hearts in the first place, or whatever. It's still it doesn't matter what game you play, it is still convoluted. And
that's not true. I want to go out and look, because I was saying that you don't know who their nobodies are, because it's the voice actor that is the voice of Axel, I swear is on Final Fantasy Advent Children, and it was driving me nuts. To think it
that doesn't count.
But no, but that's all I could keep seeing every time he talked. I might be misplacing the reference, but that was the one I was thinking it was going to. I haven't went back and figured it out yet, but it was like, that's all I kept thinking.
Oh, are you thinking of like Kadaz or something? Yeah, he does sound like Kadaz, yeah.
Alright.
And they also changed that from the first game. The voices of the Final Fantasy characters, at least the ones that are in 7, are from the Advent Children movie instead of from the voices that are from the first game. So.
Alrighty then. It would be an interesting little note here to say that if this were a normal episode of the Backlog Busting Project, I would be signing off right about now. We have talked about Kingdom Hearts for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
So that is also where I knew that voice from. So I'm looking this stuff up right now. The voice that played Axel in Kingdom Hearts 2 was also Raiden in
Quentin Flynn? Yep. Nice.
So that's where I was getting that voice from. Like, this voice is way too effing familiar.
now I'm just picturing I'm just picturing the crossovers there. I'm picturing either Axel versus Senator Armstrong or Revengeance Raiden versus Heartless.
And it wasn't Kadaj, it was Reno.
God damn it.
From Advent Children. He's Reno.
God damn it. Oh no. Anyway.
And Wes, since you just played this game a little bit ago, he's Isaru in X2.
Oh. I wonder if he was Isaru in X then, too.
Yes. I was still scrolling down, so yes, he was also Isaru in X.
Nice. So, I guess we'll wrap up Kingdom Hearts real quick, and this question applies to, me and you, Randy. Given what you've played in 2, do you think you're going to go back and do, like, Chain of Memories?
Well, I finished 2. I was lucky enough where I didn't have that extra boss battle and was actually able to beat 2. But yes, absolutely, I want to go back and play the rest of the series. I want to go play Chain of Memories. I want to try all these goofy-ass named Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah. 358 over 2 days. Ugh. That still makes me go, good, every time I hear it.
I don't give a poop what the actual title is. The other one is still Kingdom Hearts 3D to me.
Dream Drop Distance?
No, it's 3D. That's where I'm going. I heard it on one of the old 1UP podcasts when the game first came out. It was like, screw it, it's 3D. And I went, fine with me.
I look at all the hardcore running into that I just did. Anyway, same answer here. Even if I didn't have, like, a couple of Kingdom Hearts fans kind of stopped by the stream because, you know, I played most of my game time on this game was during my streaming initiative here. And, you know, I've had a couple dedicated Kingdom Hearts fans come in and, you know, give me pointers and laugh at me for failing at the Axel, wow. Roxas fight so much. But a couple of them have asked, are you going to go back and do Chain of Memories, or are you going to continue on to Birth by Sleep? And the answer, even if they hadn't asked me, would have been yes. Because, you know, the series has kind of gotten its hooks into me now, and now I kind of want to see where it goes, because that's the one thing that's cool about this podcast to me is I have owned the original Kingdom Hearts for a long-ass time. Like, I have a greatest hits version of Kingdom Hearts 1 on my gaming shelf. I think I actually had a non-greatest hits version at some point that I traded in for store credit, just simply because, you know, what would happen is I would start it, and then something else would catch my attention, and, you know, several months would pass. I'd go, okay, where the hell was I in Kingdom Hearts? Screw it, restart. Repeat. And now that the project is forcing me to, you know, make a concerted effort to finish games within, you know, the time frame, you know, that forced me to finish Kingdom Hearts. You know, instead of getting distracted. It forced me to almost finish Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, except for Roxas being a giant pain in the ass. You know, and so, you know, without this project, I'd probably still be staring at Kingdom Hearts going, one day. So yeah, definitely something I will be doing in future. In fact, one of them might be happening sooner than we think, but that's something we'll be announcing next episode. And yeah, that just about does it for Kingdom Hearts, I think. Sean, I know you have some packing for a trip to do, so any last words before we let you get back to that packing?
I mean, I was going to, you know, I went through the same thing, obviously, a lot earlier than you guys, but Kingdom Hearts became like my game that I played over and over and over. I had, before there was Let's Plays, I had a Let's Play on various VCR tapes of me playing Kingdom Hearts.
Nice.
I got so hooked on that game.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
It's just one of those, like, things, like, you think you're not gonna like it, and then you start playing it, and it's like, man, I'm just immersed now. Now you know why people are crazy about wanting Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out.
Yep. To go back to what you said about having a Let's Play before there was Let's Plays on VCR, that kind of reminds me of one of my old friends. Actually had a thing where he would record just the endings of games on VCR. Because I remember I was about to beat Final Fantasy IX for the first time, and he's like, dude, hold up, I need to go get my VCR. Or my tape. Because I wanted to tape the ending of Final Fantasy IX, and I'm like, okay, I guess, sure. So I sat there at, like, the final save point before Transkuja, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, go get your VCR, go get your tape. You know, he lived right next door to me at the time, so it was just like, go get your tape. I'll wait 5 minutes. I'll go get a drink or whatever. Yeah. And then, of course, I proceeded to get my ass handed to me by the boss a couple times because I was, you know, teenager and sucked.
Right.
And also, honestly, Transkuja and Necron are kind of pretty difficult if you don't know what you're doing. But same can be said of a lot of bosses, actually. But we digress a lot. And this show is already long in the tooth, so, yeah.
Alright, guys.
Alright. Have fun packing and have fun on your trip.
Thank you.
Because you get to go have fun at WrestleMania 32.
Yeah, go boo Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't personally watched it live, but Raw last night did not do him any favors. Holy shit! From what I've seen of the segments they did, I'm just sitting there like, really, guys, come on.
Yeah, let's not break into Raw recap.
Yeah, let's not turn into wrestling to the max. That's literally a whole other show.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right. Wow. So yeah, that does it for Kingdom Hearts. Thank you again to Sean for joining us. I guess we'll move on to your game, sir. Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels.
Oh my goodness. This game. Developed and published, of course, by Nintendo. It was originally released on June 3rd, 1986, but only in Japan. It was released as part of the All-Stars Pack on August 1st, 1993 for the Super Nintendo, and that is the version that I played it on, luckily, because the All-Star Pack allows saves between levels. Because, holy God, if I had to play this game all the way through in one sitting, or in one set of lives, I don't know if I have that ability anymore. Okay. I am somebody, I have beaten Super Meat Boy. I have gotten many percentage of the way through Super Meat Boy as far as like collecting everything and doing all of that. I feel like I'm pretty decent at platformers. But the thing that made me laugh was, the reason why the real Super Mario Brothers 2 did not come to the States in the first place was the people in Japan went, it would be too tough for those dumb Americans. And to that I say, yeah, they're right. I mean, a lot of the tough levels you see on Super Mario Maker are nothing compared to this. I mean, it's just so much all the time. All the levels are just different than what you're expecting from the original Super Mario Brothers. They really did do a pure sequel of, okay, this is everything that you've learned. Now let's turn it up a bit and make it a lot more difficult. Everything's the exact same, but way more difficult. The jumps, you need to be way more picture perfect. There's a lot more enemies on the screen where now you really have to get your jumps going. You have to remember patterns and how that's going to work, because if you don't, you're not going to be set up from this part A to get to point B, and you're just going to have to do it again. And there are many levels in this where it is a trial. And the one thing I did notice about playing through this game was, World 7 in the original Super Mario Brothers, where the Bowser's Castle was that maze, right? Where you had to go in sections, right? Where on the first section you had to be at the very top, and then you had to go down at the very bottom of the second section. If you didn't do it right, it would reset you.
Right.
They use that so much. I want to say it's in 6 of the 8 castles in Super Mario Brothers 2, some sort of maze, which adds to the difficulty as well. So, again, it's a very fun experience. If you do like the newer platformers, again, like Super Meat Boy or anything like that, or you really are enjoying Super Mario Maker, I do challenge you to give it a shot, because, I mean, it is obviously a part of history, and it's a very difficult but fair platformer. Like, there's no parts where I went, the game jipped me, or anything. It is it's clean cut. It's, obviously I played on the Super Nintendo, so things look a bit better than what they did. But it's just old school Mario action that will really test your skills. So I'm happy I finally went through and played it. And the thing that I like is once you get through the game, which is the 8 worlds, there's an extra 9th world, which I looked up, and you only got World 9 if you beat all of the first 8 worlds without warping. Right. You got World 9, which was basically a celebration world, which not much happens there. And then you have Secret Worlds, which, if I remember right, you had to beat the game multiple times in the original version to unlock. But in All-Stars, you just instantly go to them. So I played a few of those too, and those add to the difficulty even more. But But yeah, definitely a very enjoyable game. Glad I did it. Might not be seeing me play it again, but yeah.
I don't really have anything to add. Apart from just kind of pedantry, because that's my thing. The original Super Mario Brothers had 2 maze worlds. That they were the end of World 4 and the end of World 7. Both the castle levels were mazes. So.
Okay. Well, see, that just shows you, because now anytime I ever play Super Mario Brothers, I play World 1, go to 4, go from 4 to 8.
Yep.
Or was it 4 to 7, and then from 7 to 8?
No idea.
I forget now.
It's been so long since I've done it. I don't care. So, that'll that'll do it for Lost Levels. And this one's gonna be just as quick, because my game.
Sorry, before you go, I didn't even think about it. I haven't went back and watched the videos for like the original Japanese version, but something I did like about the Lost Levels one is they were goofy about every time you beat a world, obviously Toad is there. They say, the princess is another castle. Well, in this one, in the first world, there's 1 Toad, and then 2 Toads, and then 3 Toads.
Nice.
Little Toads, and a giant Toad. So I'm pretty sure it was just for the All-Stars pack, but it was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so that'll do it for Lost Levels, and we're going to just really quickly touch on StarCraft II Wings of Liberty, my game, developed and published, of course, by Blizzard Entertainment, released on July 27th, 2010. And the long and short of it is, this is, of course, the first of the StarCraft II trilogy, because they basically decided to make 3 separate campaigns, and give each race kind of its own moment in the spotlight in a full campaign, rather than 1/3 of each game dedicated, like happened in the original and the Brood War expansion. And Wings of Liberty focuses on the Terrans specifically. You play as Jim Raynor from the first game in Brood War, and he's kind of fallen on hard times because Emperor Mainsk of the Dominion is trying to kill him to basically tie up the last loose end in his rise to power in the original game. And that's basically as far as I got in this game, because Kingdom Hearts 2 kicked my ass from pillar to post, and I really could not find time to fit in a lot of StarCraft 2. I will say what I did play is a very solidly constructed real-time strategy game. I did kind of laugh a little bit at the fact that the 3rd mission in Wings of Liberty is a mission to basically bunker up and survive 30 minutes of intermittent Zerg attacks, when the 3rd mission of the original Terran campaign, the first campaign in the original StarCraft, is the exact same thing. I kind of felt that was a nice little parallel. But even in the probably roughly just under 1/3 of the Terran campaign of Wings of Liberty that I've played, I do like that they've had a lot of mission variety. It's not just build up an army and go destroy. Like there was the one mission where you have to bunker up and and survive an onslaught. There's a mission where you have to basically play kind of reverse tower defense almost, where you have to escort a convoy across a map, a road where Zerg will attack. Zerg will attack you at fixed points. There's also a mission where lava is rising every couple of minutes, so you kind of have to go down, do what you can, and then get back up to high ground before the lava comes back, or anything that's caught below the threshold dies. So there's a lot of mission variety here, and it's a nice, well-constructed game that I will eventually get back to. But it was just Kingdom Hearts 2 just whooped my ass. And real life whooped my ass. But, definitely a fun game, and, definitely worth waiting for if you had been a Blizzard fan for a while, or specifically a StarCraft fan for a while, because StarCraft is actually one of the games that got me into PC. One of the few things that got me into PC gaming was StarCraft. Actually, just Blizzard games in general, because I started out with the original Warcraft way back in the day. Like, I remember, sitting there with my cousins playing Warcraft and them flipping me shit because I was like 9 or 10 years old, and of course the original Warcraft is rated T for teen. And, they would sit there and go, "Hey, you're not a teen yet, you can't play this."
How dare you?
Yeah. Sort of thing. But, I've had no issues so far. I mean, I get that I'm not all the way through the game yet, and I've heard that, starting to kind of get into the end game of Wings of Liberty and moving on through the StarCraft 2 trilogy, it kind of gets a little shaky story-wise, but I haven't gotten there yet, But other than that, I enjoyed the brief time I had with it. So, yeah. Hopefully at some point we'll get around to doing an episode where we can kind of tie up some of these loose ends, games we either, fell by the wayside or, just ran out of time on. And this would definitely be high up there on the list of ones that I want to come back to.
Nice.
So that'll do it for the games for this episode. Next episode, we're kind of having a little bit of an arty episode next episode. To be honest,
yeah.
Because our co-played game is going to be Bastion. Randy will be playing Tearaway on.
Yes, the PlayStation Vita lives.
Yep, on the Vita. I was about to say he is not playing Unfolded, which has Unfolded come out yet?
Oh, look.
While you look that up, I will announce that the game I will be playing is the Banner Saga 1. And the reason why that's important is this episode has been planned for several months, not quite that long, but for a while now. And lo and behold, as we started kind of wrapping up this episode and started looking forward to next episode, out came the news that Banner Saga 2 will be releasing actually around the time the next episode is scheduled to come out. And I just want to assure you that unlike a lot of the times where games come up on the project right as sequels are coming out, this one was entirely unplanned. This was just the universe kind of plopping a cosmic coincidence in our laps. But it'll be interesting to play the original game while the hype for the sequel is kind of coming up to a head. And I'm looking forward to playing it on stream as well, because I've actually started to have fun streaming. So hopefully, people come and see that. And that will be the next episode. Randy, did you manage to look that up yet?
Yeah, it came out September 8th last year.
Wow, we were paying attention very good, weren't we? Actually, I wonder. I almost want to say Tearaway Unfolded might have been a Player in 8 game. Oops. Anyway, so...
It's highly possible.
Yeah. Normally we'd have news roundup here, but honestly, this show's gone on long enough as it is, and about the only story that's really worth talking about is one that I really don't think is a story quite yet, because it sounds a little bit too out there for me to really comment on as kind of beyond that'd be interesting if it happened. And that would be the PlayStation 4.5 rumors. And it's just kind of, Kotaku has come out, Patrick Klepek posted a story on Kotaku that said he has sources that say Sony is going to announce kind of a hardware refresh of the PlayStation 4 that will make it capable of playing 4K games to come out this holiday season. And I'm just not sure I see that happening. If Sony does it, I will understand why, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to try that just yet.
Well, I mean, if they do end up doing it, it'd be good, because from the sounds of it, according to the rumor mill, then the price of the regular PlayStation 4 will drop pretty well, and then others can afford that, and I think it will help them all around. I mean, they're winning this generation, so I think they feel like now they can experiment and push new hardware. And I also think a lot of it has to do with their new PlayStation. What are they calling it? It was Morpheus.
They're just calling it PlayStation VR.
Yeah, PlayStation with their PlayStation VR to have it come along with that, and so I mean I can see it. I mean until it becomes officially announced, we can't go, oh my god, I can't wait, or no, this is a terrible idea until we get the full details. But the idea of it's out there. It's interesting. I don't have a TV that can run 4K anyways, so it would be something I'd be waiting later on. But the fact that like systems are pushing that boundary, or possibly could be pushing that boundary, is kind of cool.
All right, so that will about do it for this episode of the Backlog Busting Project. We will see you in 2 weeks' time with Bastion, Banner Saga, and Tearaway. Streams will be happening as always. We will also be getting back into the swing of things, hopefully, with Mario Maker Mondays and Family Fun Fridays. We kind of ran into our buffer on both of those at the same time, which it's not a fun time, but we will be getting together here and re-upping that buffer shortly. So things will be resuming on that front, hopefully within the next week or two. And of course, I will be continuing my daily stream initiative, which is running good so far. Honestly, I've made it to the Tuesday this release is on will be day 12. So not a bad little streak going on. Almost 2 weeks of at least 2 hours a day. Even when my minimum was set at 1. So it's been going fun. So yeah, twitch.tv/backlogbusting, the YouTube channel, this podcast, everything seems to be kind of firing on all cylinders, starting to fire on all cylinders here coming into the spring and summer months. So hopefully you're along for the ride, and until next time, as Will Wheaton says, play more games.
I still can't believe you have not beaten Roxas on your first try. It was not that hard.
I hate you so much.